Welcome to another Quantum Conversation, brought to you by AcousticHealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and I invite you to sit back as we enter the quantum realm, that space of the greater part of you. It is your connection to infinite possibilities, infinite potential, and infinite mastery. Welcome to this quantum conversation. We are with E.T. Walken, SomRa Anraika. She is here to share with us new information that she's got on how we can strengthen our inner stability, the 5D way. And this is important because it requires stability. We can go in, we can go out, but we so much want to anchor more strongly and firmly into the higher energies. Hi, SomRa, welcome.
Hi, Loren. It's good to be back.
It is great to see you. And I wanted to say, E.T. Walken, we have archives of conversations that go into your story about this. But as we start, I know there are questions from our audience that's like, well, what is an E.T. Walken? So can you briefly share, give us an update on that story?
Yes. So, walk-in is a term referring to someone who has their original soul has left their body and a new soul has come in and continuing the life. There's lots of different reasons that this happens. It's not a bad thing. The prior soul may be done with what they were attempting to accomplish with the life and are ready to move on. There's a lot of misunderstanding out there, a lot of misinformation saying that, the person wanted to commit suicide, or you have to be ill or go through some sort of accident for this to happen. And that's simply not true at all. And as you'll see in the archive interviews, mine was I went through 5 different walk-in experiences. Mine were all beautiful, and it was wonderful. And so an ET walk-in is basically referring to from another star system, and is more anchored in experiences through other incarnations, many incarnations on other worlds. And so we predominantly associate with that rather than Earth itself, even though, I've had many lifetimes on Earth as well. So it's kind of like I'm more connected in that arena, more lifetimes on other worlds. And so, so the original soul has left, the new soul comes in and has a new purpose, often in a new direction.
And one thing about you that we know so well is you are meticulous in your dedication on the journey of light. And so I'm sure that your clients know that, and those who are watching and listening will know that. And you are connected. You are a sound channel as well. And we're going to hear those tones. And there's the ET Ascended Masters that you are in communication with. So do you want to share a little bit we're going to talk about, how we can learn about reality from the ET Ascended Masters. But did your walk-in connection automatically put you in touch with them, or you were always connected to them through that walk-in experience? What was that like as you bring this information forward?
Okay, so I've always been a part of that collective, and it's many millions of ET Ascended Masters. ET Ascended Masters are much older than the Earth Ascended Masters, and ET Ascended Masters have ascended usually more than once. A lot of people think ascension happens just one time, but actually can happen many times. A being wants to go through a whole other cycle of lifetimes for certain experiences after the first time, after the second time, after the third time. And so many of us ET Ascended Masters, our ascensions happened prior to 355,000 years ago. And so Earth Ascended Masters, they've ascended just in the last few thousand years, and usually only once. So the collective that I'm a part of, we have certain a certain type of understanding about reality and the higher dimensions that we don't hear much on Earth. And so we're coming forward more this year. Now kind of the gateways opening, and we've been waiting for humanity to be ready. And a lot of the teachings we're going to be bringing forward, me and my collaborative partner, who is the primary vocal channel for these Ascended Masters, have all kinds of offerings that we're so excited to share, because humanity is now ready for these perspectives that are even broader than what has been available on Earth prior to now.
That is good news. So we are ready now. And I know that many are feeling this, and many are feeling the call to step up in a new way, do things differently. You've gone through a shift and a change even in the past year. And I think a lot of us have in the past year. It feels like we're not even the same person. So when we're talking about strengthening our inner stability in the 5D, is that what's going on here? We are moving into those energies. Can you share your perspective on what that means to strengthen inner stability?
Yeah, so I didn't name this discussion today stabilize your energies for a reason, although that sounds a little bit more catchy. Strengthening your inner stability implies and indicates you already are stable within. It's just your attention is constantly distracted and pulled off center. And this, there's a lot in this world set up to do that on purpose, but it's not so difficult. The physical world, the hologram we're in, is very distracting, and lots of things going on and lots of demands that we feel we have to meet. And so, but when you strengthen your inner stability, is really strengthening your sense of what's already stable within you. And that is one of the ET Ascended Master perspectives we bring forth, is that acting from a place of you already are what you seek, and realizing that you actually already are what you seek. You are a grand soul on this journey, living through this human avatar body, and this is the illusion. And this is a game board that we are expressing through, like a video game. The real you is this expanded self that is always in joy, always in peace, always stable, always balanced, things of that nature. And really, when we speak of balance and stability, it's, in a way, it's more of a polarity concept. So the polarity realm is where we're dealing with opposites, this and that, right and wrong, all these kind of concepts. That's actually within the vastness of the all that is. A lot of people have a misconception, and we have to use these terms like higher and lower, higher dimensions, lower dimensions, because that's the way polarity mind thinks, and it gives a context. But in reality, it's the vastness, the all that is you can think of this massive presence, and polarity is a densified experience, like a holographic container within oneness, not opposite of oneness. Oneness has no opposite, okay? Because when you speak of opposites, we're speaking of polarity mindset and consciousness. So stability, when we think of that, and balance, they're kind of similar. There's the implication that of off balance and on balance. Those are still kind of polarity concepts, but that's where most of us are certainly our ego minds are operating, our personalities are operating. So I'm going to speak in those terms. But the reality is, when you attune to oneness consciousness, you understand that stability is this center place that always is. It's not, there's no wobble. There's no being thrown off by things. I'm going to talk a little bit today about how to cultivate that state of consciousness, so that you can more easily, of course, move into 5D, but also navigate the changes that are coming this year, which are going to be very dramatic in the outer world as well as the inner world. And so there will be a lot of surprises, likely, even for a lot of starseeds and light workers who thought things were a certain way, and will discover that they're different, whether it's in their personal life, their personal consciousness, or the world itself.
That may seem disconcerting to some, big changes, dramatic changes in your words, very dramatic changes. Do you have intel and insight as to what that is? And hence, that's why we are fortifying our stability, our inner stability, strengthening it, so that in the face of everything, we always know what we already know, and nothing can distract us from that. Is it the outer world as it catches up to the spiritual light work that so many have been on the path of? Can you clarify that, so to dispel any apprehension that people might have when hearing that?
Yeah, so that's one of the things I want to talk about is that apprehension as well, because there's this underlying fear in most of humanity of fear of change, and that's just sort of happened in early childhood, usually those first 3 years of life that most people don't remember, where you're not in control of what's happening. You can't even control the first, 6 months or whatever. And that sets up in the psyche, particularly if there are loud sounds, siblings that are not nice to you, parents that are certainly not nice to you, or things like that in your environment, and shocks and accidents, falls, whatever. All of those things set up in the psyche. That was unexpected. And so we have this association with unexpected and shock with bad. And that's not really the case. There's this talk about fear of the unknown. So one of the teachings we bring forth at the ET Ascended Masters is we're not really afraid of the unknown. We're never afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of the negative we're projecting into what we think the unknown is going to be. Okay. It's a 50-50 shoot, all right. Something could go just as easily one way, enjoyably and not enjoyably. So why keep projecting into the future what you don't want to happen? The worry, what we call worry, in the vernacular, that's a lot of what that is you have an attachment to things being a certain way, and you have this unconscious thing built into your psyche, and it's part of the survival brain and all of that it could be bad. I need to resist that. And you got to get out of that whole resistance mode. If you want to move into 5D, got to get out of resistance to change. Yeah. Okay. So, when I talk about what's ahead, it can go a number of different ways because there are lots of timeline variables, and it very much depends on what's happening in the collective and what's happening individually. How many hearts are opening, and definitely hearts are opening, even if it's not obvious, folks. And, I don't encourage people to watch mainstream media, because, right. Because that is not accurate information. Although more and more accurate information is trickling out, or something closer to the truth is trickling out. And that's what we're going to see more of. And it's going to be different from what has been presented the last several years. It's going to be challenging a lot of that. And stuff's going to keep coming forward to prove that a lot of what mainstream media has been saying the past several years, really, since it's existed, is actually not true. It's designed to steer people a certain way, and often into fear. Fear triggers that survival brain again, okay? And then suddenly the blood rushes out of your prefrontal cortex, okay? And it moves into, this is terrible. I've got to protect myself. I've got to defend myself. And what that does, when it leaves your prefrontal cortex in your brain, the blood and the circulation and the oxygen, you don't think clearly anymore. You're just in survival mode. And so headlines and all those things are designed to trigger your fear, get you out of your cognitive thinking, your sensibility, and then be like, oh no, not this, not that. And so you don't even investigate the rest of the story a lot of times. That's what they want. They being, the dark forces that have been controlling the planet for centuries. And they are losing. They have essentially lost, but there is still some cleanup to do. There's still some transitioning to do that's especially going to happen this year. and it's all good, okay? Even if your mind doesn't think it's good. If you're attached to a certain political figure and think that that person was working for the light and you suddenly discover they're not, it's very important for you to embrace that. At least consider it that you just misunderstood or you were misinformed or you were influenced. That's not bad. But if you resist that and hold on to old ideas, then you are going to put yourself out of divine flow and you're going to have a harder time and you're going to feel more and more unstable.
From a higher perspective, it doesn't seem like any of our politicians are acting very maturely. So, and then one thing I want to say, as a journalist, as a former journalist in the world, being indoctrinated into that system, it is fear-based, and the whole saying, if it bleeds, it leads. I mean, it's just it's fear-based. And so when we say the news, it's just all centered around the fear of something bad happened, and that just generates fear. However, I do see there are ways that we can read between the lines. And actually, what do you think about us doing light work within ourselves or energy work within ourselves and in others for the collective when we see a story that may trigger something that we may find resistance to? One thing that we hear a lot of is the war in Ukraine. That question comes up from our audience a lot. We care so much, and we're sitting here thinking we're in the 2020s here. What in the world, how can this even still be happening on this planet? So is there a way, maybe this is part of the topic, when we stabilize our inner stability or strengthen our inner stability, we can do work or energy work for ourselves and the collective from looking at the resistance or looking at the news or things that trigger us?
Yeah. All right. So if you get triggered, and that is the key word here, that's very important, folks, because if you feel any emotion, any negative emotion about something like sadness, anger, all of that, you are coming from something in your ego consciousness. Now, that's not bad. That just is telling you there's something in you that's unresolved, that's resonating with what's happening. So perhaps it's anger at injustice. Okay. The steps to take, the first steps to take is to own that this is your emotion. That out there is not bad. Okay. And when you are tapped into the bigger picture, you understand these things, what's going on, what's really going on with the war in Ukraine. Okay. It's got nothing to do with what the media is telling you, folks. We think war is bad. Okay. People are dying and that sort of thing. And that's true that they are dying. Their avatar bodies are dying, for instance. But the souls of all of those people know exactly what's going on and came as a part of that experience, okay? They're gaining something from that. Now, this is a vast topic, and it might be hard for some people to grasp, okay? Because the polarity thinking is death is bad, okay? Death is just a simple shift in perspective. The real you isn't even here. This is all a holographic projection, okay? Now, I'm not in any way belittling anybody's, loved ones dying or anything like that, making that, small of that. We've got to walk through our grief. We have a heart, we have compassion, we have feelings. But if you are thrown off, if you are devastated, that's showing that you have attachments to things being a certain way, rather than accepting that there's a higher picture going on here. There's a higher story. And I actually have a funny story. One of my Ascended Master friends, he tells one of his lessons in that after he ascended. This was many years ago. He's much higher up in the dimensions now. But he said that watching from the higher perspective, he was watching a war, and a man was standing right where a bomb was about to land, because when you're in the higher perspective, you can see the future, so to speak, and all of that. So he actually manifested himself and told the guy to get out of the way. And so the guy did, and he didn't get blown up. Well, the soul was not happy about that because the soul actually wanted to have that experience, to know what it was like to have the avatar and the psyche being split into pieces, and was working on a project in terms of resolving that through a series of lifetimes. So yeah, yeah. So I'm stretching y'all a little bit if this stuff is new to these concepts, to understand that the soul knows exactly what's going on and has a reason for being where the body is at a particular time. Own your own emotions and process them as your own. It's not about that out there. And as soon as you make your emotions about that out there, you have given your power away. And you've actually hurled pieces of your energy out that you need, that's meant to be right here. And I see this all the time. And people do this in their own personal lives with their to-do lists, and oh, I got to get this done, and I got to run these errands, and oh, my so and so, my friend is sick, and that's terrible, and oh, I need to help this person over here, and it's just like your energy's all over the place, folks. And that's not where it's meant to be. You are meant to stand in your center all the time. Okay. And that, cultivating that, is a process, because you have been cultivated in a world that is constantly distracting you and constantly deliberately pulling you in many directions, as well as happenstance. The environment you were raised in, they were not completely balanced people. They had their issues. They were not always acting in integrity or in beauty and love. They couldn't. They could only act from the place of their own evolutionary level, personally and spiritually. So, but you were affected by all of that, and that cultivated your consciousness. So again, if you're not judging the outer situation, well, right there, you're not hurling your energy out. It's like you hear about something and you go, you have compassion. So we talk about the war in Ukraine. You have compassion for those who are struggling through that. Wow, imagine losing all your family photos and losing all these things that are important to you. And folks, this stuff's been going on since humanity, at least in this last epoch, has been around. War, battle, stuff like that, slavery. And that's one of the things that's going to come out this year, is there are people in slavery, and have been children for a long, long time, particularly in this decade. All right. And that's going to be some of the hard stuff that's going to come out. People think this stuff doesn't exist anymore, especially I'm speaking of human trafficking. That's very scary to a lot of people. But you can go. This isn't conspiracy necessarily. You can go to there are fundraising events. This is real stuff. People work in that arena. I worked some in that arena. Millions of people are being trafficked, okay, and have been. Now, a lot of that's being cleaned up by the good forces that are working to help in the transition to New Earth and to a better world. But first of all, just stop being shocked about a lot of these things and just go, you're in a dysfunctional plane, or planetary plane, okay? Loren's giggling. Yes. This is a dysfunctional world, highly, highly dysfunctional, that's been operating the opposite the way divine love operates and the way oneness consciousness operates. It's been conditioned. Some of my ascended master mentors, they say this world is upside down and backwards from how it actually is. Okay. And so we're in this transition where we're going to be put back right side up, okay, and forward, so to speak. And that requires facing some very significant things where a lot of people have been in denial. I see this a lot in starseeds and light workers. There's still been a lot of denial about what's happening, and a belief that we're supposed to not focus on this stuff or else we're going to exacerbate it. And that's not true. Healing happens when you acknowledge what's going on. If you're not acknowledging it, then you are in denial too. You're pushing it out of your psyche. It's got to come forward in order for healing to happen. So just being willing to accept that there's more to the story than your mind understands. Okay, that's humility. That's divine humility. That's essential for oneness consciousness. There's always more to the story than your mind can comprehend or understand. It's essential. And as soon as you're in that space and you practice that, that opens you to the greater story, to the bigger picture. Then you can know more, but you're not allowed to know more. And I don't mean that as some authority preventing you, but you simply shut yourself off when you're judging something as negative. You're judging war, when you're judging the banking industry, the taxing industries, the governments, and all of that. The more you can be in a space of, it's a dysfunctional planet with dysfunctional systems, and they are in the process of evolving into to a higher level of expression that's more in alignment with the divine reality, then that puts you in the flow. And you can immediately, and I hope some of you are kind of getting a sense of this right now, a peace comes over you. You're in touch with the truth inside your being that knows that everything's okay. This is just evolution.
And it also is a reminder that our reality is right here in front of us. And that reality over there, that's not even in our space, our physical space, is not our reality. And so this should be the attention. That's not a spiritual bypass, is it? As you said, we don't have judgment, we have compassion, but we acknowledge that the world is dysfunctional. So the journey is to then again cultivate our 5D consciousness and return to that peace.
Yes, the spiritual bypass is denial. Acknowledging the existence, even if it's not something that you're necessarily working with in your own reality, is not bypassing. That's being authentic. Okay? The same with your own consciousness. If you feel fear, be honest about that. If you feel anger, be honest about that. Don't try to push it away. You throw yourself off balance and now you're unstable again when you do that. You don't realize it. It feels like you're stabilizing by being in denial, but that's actually the opposite. You're just setting yourself up for more problems later. The more you can accept now, all parts of you, whatever you feel, their emotions are energy. They need to be acknowledged. They have a reason for being there. Negative thoughts, so to speak, they have a reason for being there. It's not an accident and it's not bad. If you're judging it and saying, oh, that's not spiritual to think that way, well, now you've thrown yourself off your center again. You think that way. Acknowledge it. It's a thought. It's not your conscious thought necessarily. It's not what you want in your heart necessarily. Say like those simple judgmental thoughts like, oh, I can't believe she wore that today, things like that. We can say, oh, that's a terrible thought. But okay, let me get into a little bit more about balance because this is significant. So think of your consciousness as a spinning plate. All right, I've got my hand up here for those who are just listening and don't have video. And it's a spinning plate. And something occurs in your childhood and during your developmental years that say someone makes fun of you, puts you down or whatever, does something humiliating, and that creates a thought, oh, I'm not good enough or something. And shame, emotional shame that goes with that. Think of that like a marble that lands on your plate, your spinning plate. All right, now that's a weight on your plate and that's causing wobble. All right. And there's a belief that may occur, like a common belief is I'm inferior, I'm inadequate, something along those lines, okay, that goes with that. Well, the psyche can't stay in balance because it's wobbling now, because now it's off center or it's off balance with the truth. The divine truth is you are beautiful, you are perfect, you are love, you are an expression of the divine, okay? Anything out of alignment with that begins to create a wobble in your psyche. So in polarity, an opposite consciousness, an opposite belief, or even a subpersonality, because some people really embrace it as a personality. I'm inadequate, I'm not enough, stuff like that. Puts another marble on the other side of the plate so that it can start to spin more in balance again. Okay. And then something else happens in life that, an event that's unpleasant, that then you take on more another negative belief say about yourself, I'll say limiting, because negative sounds like a judgment word, but I have no judgment about that. It's like it's something that's limiting, that's out of alignment with divine truth. That's another marble. Well, now your plates of your psyche is wobbling again. So something else has to be created to keep it balanced. Now we go back to the inferior belief. I'm inferior, let's say. Well, the opposite is what? I'm superior. So a piece of your consciousness begins to develop with the assumption that I am superior. Now, you don't logically think that. You don't even have the words when you're a child. But something has to compensate for the pain and discomfort for feeling inadequate and inferior. So that's what the psyche usually does. And so now in your adulthood, this has been running your whole life, whether you acknowledge it or not. And then you have this like judgmental thought, all right, towards somebody or something. Well, guess what? That's because suddenly you're feeling disempowered about that situation. Let's say, talk about war in Ukraine or whatever. And you need to now judge it in order to rebalance your psyche again. You need to feel superior, like you know better, and that shouldn't be happening. Okay, and it's bad and it's awful. Now you feel a sense of stability again. But it's all false. It's all based on false premises, okay? Premises. And the key is healing all of these things and letting them all go. And there are many processes to do that. And I'm going to help us a little bit today with that. And I got some things in my special offer that will help with that. Techniques you can take yourself through. You can get off this whole game, all right, and practice centering, going back to your center of your inner stability already there. When you think of the spinning plate, what's the place that's the least, or the most stable, I should say? It's the center point, okay? In the center of the spinning plate, you are at peace. You are still, and you're just watching the plate around you. So you can begin to watch those thoughts that come up, like a judgmental thought or whatever, or that fear, rather than become it, rather than it overcoming you. And then you got to suppress it or push it away. You just go, okay, there's a fear there. Get curious. That's what I tell my clients and students, get curious. It's not about judgment. You must acknowledge it in order to heal it. If you're not acknowledging it, it's like stuffing stuff in a closet, and you know, you got that closet that's full of stuff you don't want to look at, you know? Well, eventually it's going to collapse when you open the door and stuff's going to fall out. Might as well start siphoning that off right away. Now, all of these events that are happening, particularly this year, that are coming, that are going to start basically rocking your boat. Okay, so any beliefs you have that say this or that is wrong, or that you feel disempowered, you feel powerless to the situation, and that's bad, and it should be this way, it should be that way. This is your opportunity to do some rapid healing, okay? And every time you do, that removes a marble from your plate, your spinning plate, all right? So what's going to happen when that marble is removed? Remember, an opposite one was created to help you stabilize your psyche and feel balanced. Well, then you're going to start feeling imbalanced again. So you got to heal both aspects. So we're talking about I'm inferior, I'm superior. Both of those heal simultaneously, ultimately, for you to restabilize. But at first, when you get triggered by certain events, that's going to highlight your marble there, your limiting belief, fear, and possibly trigger past events that cause it, because you need those memories to come up, many of them, not necessarily all of them, but you do need to connect with them in order to heal them. Then that's going to give you a little bit of wobble, so you're going to feel disoriented again. You're going to feel like, no, I really wanted to cling to that belief that that political figure was working for the light, or this or that, and if you're willing to let go, well, that kind of helps take care of the opposite marble, and you restabilize again. Because as long as you're not attached to anything in the outer world being a certain way in order for you to feel safe and okay, and like new earth is happening and you are spiritually progressing, as long as you don't rely on those outer things, then you are acting in divine alignment. You are attuning yourself to the divine within you, the real you that is beyond this plane. Okay, that is just operating this life, this temporary identity, which you call your human name and all the things involved with it. All right. You can, and in that space, and you tapping in and you're experiencing more of the real you, well, you're naturally at peace because you get what's going on. You see the bigger picture, at least a sense of it. You never can really fully understand it through a human brain. As we evolve more into our light bodies, we're not going to be relying on those physical organs anymore, so to speak, because we're eventually not going to even have organs. We're just going to be bodies of light. And that's where we're heading. But you don't get there. You don't just jump there. You cultivate your consciousness into that state. A lot of people are waiting. They think the fifth dimension is just going to land on them and they're suddenly going to be enlightened and everything's going to be peachy. That's not how it works, folks. You have to own what's inside you and evolve it to that state enough to where the fifth dimension is moving in. It's definitely, coming in, but you can't be in that space as long as you're holding on to all of these things and denying stuff that's inside you. Okay? So if you're feeling upset about anything, that's your indication, that's your gift. That's your gift to show you, here's something in my unconscious that's calling for love, that's calling for healing, that's unresolved. It's just been hanging out there all these years. I thought it was gone because I forgot about it. Nope. Just because you're consciously not aware of it doesn't mean it's gone. But this is our chance for rapid healing and transformation and moving into 5D. And guess what, folks? Every single one of us who heals something, even the slightest thing, that goes into the collective consciousness, and we accelerate the collective moving into 5D. We are the ones creating it by doing the inner work.
It is letting go. It is, I hear the word surrender. That may be seen as a cop-out to some. So instead of it being a cop-out, is there parameters around letting go that you can expand upon? Like how, is there a technique or a tool that you use to
Absolutely.
really truly let go and make this? I mean, it seems like we've put both the opposites and now everything, it's the center, it's the 0 point. And what's the tool for that? Getting there, cultivating that.
Yeah, there are lots of wonderful tools, and for some of us, we do need, a trained therapist, practitioner of these tools. It's difficult to get to a lot of these things yourself because you have all kinds of bypasses set up in your consciousness that will route your awareness right around exactly where you need to go because there's emotional pain there. There's something unresolved. There's some difficult experience you walked through as a child that you probably don't remember. But and in past lives too. But of course, we talked about in past interviews that each past life has had an inner child that went through the same wounding. That's where it all came from, regardless of what happened in the adulthood of the past life. So today we have all kinds of techniques and tools available. And I mentioned some of them in my ebook and the special offer. But there's so many more. Actually, I mentioned several and I explained one in detail, which is EFT, which is emotional freedom techniques. That's one of the primary ones that I've used that I've found super effective and so powerful. It's widely available on the internet, information about it. And folks, if you go through a video or something online and you're tapping along for something and you don't feel a shift, that doesn't mean it doesn't work. Working with a practitioner that helps navigate your consciousness around those or right into those places that you've been bypassing and get to that, unlock it and shift it and release it. It happens almost 100% of the time when it's done effectively and correctly. But you can use a lot of those videos on YouTube, those guided videos. You can search for, EFT for stability, EFT for emotional balance, EFT for grief, EFT for anger. And there are wonderful practitioners on there that can lead you through a process that can at least help you move that energy some. Okay. So when we're talking about surrender and letting go, same thing. It's like, you could take yourself through a tapping process. And if you don't know what EFT is, it's easy to find out, but it's basically tapping on very specific acupressure points while you express what you're feeling emotionally or whatever the difficult situation is, past or present. And it's that expression while you're tapping on these meridians. And when I watch people's consciousness while this is happening, the way I describe it is it's like a suction. It's like wherever that pattern is in your body or your field, tapping on that is they're the end points, what they call the end points of the meridians. It draws it out of your system, out of your field, and releases it back into the universal quanta, what I call it quanta. And often we describe it as it turns into sparkles, it turns into like glitter. And I say, so it can be recycled into something now that can be used for benefit in another way. A lot of people are afraid, like they think they're giving negative energy to the universe. That's not how it works. That's not how it works, folks. You've been holding on to something. That's not the way the universe is designed. We're not meant to hold on to anything. We're meant to flow with. So that includes positive things like joy. People will talk about, like they have moments of joy and they're like, I want to hold on to that moment as long as I can. And no, you don't want to do that. You want to welcome the next moment of joy. Okay? It's like being in a flow. Welcome the next moment and the next moment and the next moment. Never try to hold on to anything. Okay? And so talking about stability, again, you're not trying to hold on to stability. Stability's already there. It's redirecting your attention when you find yourself going off center again. Find it again within. Practice finding it again within. And that's very hard to do when you're triggered. So you need to do some sort of technique like EFT to release that. And then that helps you then breathe. And of course, deep breathing is good stuff. Deep breathing back into your center. Other wonderful techniques are EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. That's usually led by a practitioner, although you can find YouTube videos that lead your eye movements, but there are actually several different styles. We call it bilateral stimulation. That's something that I have done a lot, assisted people with. And it helps you reprocess, helps your brain reprocess and take something that's filed as a negative, a trauma, a bad thing, and reprocess it and puts it into a file in your brain and your psyche. Your brain is just a physical expression of your psyche, into a file that's neutral. And that's where we want to be, is neutral, not complacent, not apathetic, not uncaring. It's just neutral. You're at peace. And you acknowledge that, yes, on the physical level, that was unjust. That was unfair. Certainly unfair for a child to be abused. Certainly unfair for what's going on, with any kind of hurtfulness that's imposed on people. But again, no one's victim. The soul knows what's going on and is learning something through that process. Okay, it's a bigger picture. But on the human level, we have compassion, and that's important. Understanding that, yes, that was unfair, and comfort, bring comfort to that part of you. Okay, this is another technique, by the way, butterfly hugs. Okay, so just when you're, particularly with fear and reactiveness, okay, you simply gently embrace your arms, cross your arms in front of your chest and embrace, and it's like a hug, but you don't squeeze real hard. And first stroke at least 3 times. This has been proven studying in brain research. Okay, at least 3 times. Squeeze gently 3 times with the intention you're bringing comfort to your inner selves. And then gently pat your arms at least 3 times. And you'll immediately feel a physiological change in your nervous system. That's what you're going for. And just keep repeating that until your nervous system calms down. Then you can address things from what you think of as spiritual perspective. Okay, and that is spiritual butterfly hugs, by the way, in 5D, and beyond, the ET masters, what we teach, we understand that comfort is essential to life. You're not supposed to, force yourself into being okay with this or that. That's not what this is about. Comfort those parts that you need comfort, and help move your perspective to the broader level. And often if you take away or release the trigger, the emotional charge around something, and be willing to see things from a broader perspective, that broader perspective usually opens up, whether it's about you or about the situation. So talking about you, that whole inadequate belief, I'm not okay, I'm not good enough. All right, so you've brought comfort to that part of you. That child is wounded inside you. She still exists, or he still exists, okay, until they're integrated back into the wholeness. That only happens through compassion and love and care, okay, and being open to a broader perspective. You start to realize, oh, when my sibling hit me then and called me stupid, that's not because I was stupid. He was just trying to gain a sense of superiority to rebalance his instability because something got him feeling unstable. So people will take stuff out on others to try to feel superior again, because the truth is they feel very inferior and insecure inside. Hint, hint. You don't have to take that stuff seriously when you can see through that. And that's moving into spiritual mastery, is seeing through the presentation and understanding the deeper truth that everyone is wounded. Everyone is wounded. And that's not to excuse bad behavior, so to speak. That's not to excuse cruelty in any way. It's bringing understanding. These are 5D concepts, okay? Bringing understanding to the situation. A person doesn't behave that way, doesn't do those things unless they are wounded inside, unless it's been done to them in some way. And so then you can perceive the situation in the broader fifth dimensional and beyond perspective and understanding what it's really about. And there's learning to be gained. When you step into that understanding, you have now embraced a higher wisdom. You have connected more with your divine self that understands the situation more. And then you know how better to respond. If there's anything for you to need to do on the outside, say this is a cruel person in your life, how to handle that situation from a place of understanding and empowerment. You don't let them keep doing that stuff. We're not talking about being, a doormat. Not at all. It may require you to take charge and stand up against that person. Whereas before, you may have been like spiritual bypassing yourself. Well, he's had a hard life and that sort of. That's not what I'm talking about. That's all mental games. Truly understanding from a soul level place, that person's wounded. That does not excuse their behavior and treatment of me or someone else. Okay? And that type of energy deserves or needs pushback sometimes. That's boundaries. When we talk about boundaries, no, I will not be spoken to that way. I will not be treated that way. A lot of spiritual folks are being doormats, and they're letting themselves be walked all over because they think it's not spiritual to make a stand, to stand up for yourself. It is essential for evolving into 5D. If you're denying your worth, your self-respect, that's not even in resonance with 5D consciousness. Okay? 5D consciousness is about embracing and respecting and loving all of you. That person out there, that's their journey. They have to claim that for themselves. You can't fix them. You can't change. You can't fix their woundedness. But when you move into a place of understanding, then you can walk away from that situation. It doesn't mean love everybody in your life and keep them in your life. No, sometimes it's recognizing we're not in resonance anymore. And I honor you, bless your choice, and be on your way. I'm going over here. I'm going to where the party is, the 5D party is, where we're all loving and respecting each other. Okay? And if that person can't come in tune, they don't need to be in your life. They don't need to be holding you back. Or you're letting yourself be held back by trying to make that work, and when it cannot. So I said a lot there. There's a whole lot to this whole picture. But I hope that those of you who are listening, you're feeling your hearts and your souls light up, and that this may be providing some puzzle pieces that you've been missing. That's the surrender. You're surrendering to the bigger picture. Even if you don't know what it is, you're just accepting that there is a bigger picture. and helping yourself move into that place of neutrality. And then from that place, your blood's back into the center, your prefrontal cortex. You can think logically and clearly, and you know how to take care of yourself in the situation. You can't do it from an unstable place in fear or self judgment or judging whatever. It just is what it is. We don't need to hide it, avoid it, whether you have whatever issues you have, just put it out on the table and use techniques to move through whatever your feelings are about that, your emotions, and become free, because it's time to be free. We've been under these chains long enough, right?
Oh my goodness. The words that you speak are like a healing balm, a salve for all of us. And we are different, because I know as we were listening, we were going through these motions and looking at our own lives and seeing the incredible responsibility that we have to ourselves,
Yes.
in our psyche, in our consciousness, and how it's not easy, but it could be so simple in this evolution into 5D. I love the concept of neutrality. That's a big one. And the concept of no judgment in all of it, not judging ourselves or not judging others. So it feels really good right here, right now. You have put us in a new place.
I'm so glad. And there's one comment I want to make to get in there, and that is, if you find yourself judging something, someone, yourself, don't judge the fact that you're judging something.
Yes, that's a key point.
I see spiritual people doing this all the time. They're judging themselves for judging something. No, you were brought up in a dysfunctional world. You're going to have all of these convolutions. Just accept, oh, okay. Wow, that's interesting. Get curious, like I said.
Oops, I'm judging again.
Yeah,
But don't feel
neutrality.
bad about judging.
Yeah, it's like love that part of you. It's looking for love. And let me tell you, you want to dismantle judgment? Just call it out. Just call it
Okay.
out. It's like, oh, so you could talk to it as a part of yourself, not you, because it is. It's this wounded part of you that's hanging out in your aura that's been unresolved. And it's just like, oh, oh, I see you're judging again. Okay. Or you're judging, it might be a different part, not a new one, but it's like, okay, I'm sure you have a reason for why you think that way. Let me know what it is. You might could start a dialogue. Some people are at that level. They can do, or journal. There's a technique of journaling, writing with one hand and then writing the answers with the left hand. You're asking a question. Some people could do that. Doing it through your own being. Just sit with it. Just be with it. Stop trying to distract yourself with food or the internet or TV or whatever. Because we feel ashamed that we think this way, or if we feel guilty or whatever. And it's just like, you're going to have dysfunctional patterns, because that's the nature of this world right now. Not the nature, but that is the situation as it is. This is mastery perspectives and accepting what is. And as soon as you do, just accepting that it is. That's not accepting, oh, this is how it is, and oh, well. It's accepting that it is. And you're acknowledging it, and now it can move. It can shift. But as long as you're not acknowledging it, you can't do anything with it. And by the way, you're giving it more power, because you're telling it, ooh, you're afraid of it. You don't need to be afraid of your judgments. You need to love them. Love that piece of you, even if you don't understand where it came from. Love is the true healer. I mean, unconditional love. That's what unconditional love means, folks. No conditions. That means you don't have to be completely non-judgmental to be lovable. Okay? It's love, it's infinite love, the love of source that permeates, that is what everything is made of. It's just the illusion that it's not. Embracing that, practicing statements with that, and thinking that way, boy, your consciousness is going to evolve quickly and much more gracefully. You don't have to feel so unstable with the changes, and internally and externally. love, unconditional, infinite love. And infinite love means infinite. That means there's no end, there's no beginning, always is, right here, right now. And you can be a part of it the more you move into that neutral space, the more you release your traumas, your triggers, honor them and process them through rather than resisting them, keeping yourself more and more in divine flow. Divine flow is divine love.
And that answered a question that I had about creating new earth, coming into solution energy. And when we do that, what you're suggesting, being in that neutrality, cleaning up the trauma, being responsible for every emotion, cleaning it up, then that puts us in a divine place where the solution energy comes. That's the new earth that we are moving towards. And I see it. I do see it. It's not here, but one heart at a time as we go through this transition. So that's beautiful. I want to know if you wanted to share anything on that need for creation once we get through all of it. But there may not be anything to do because it'll be divine. The
A need
planet
for,
will be cleaned up. The planet,
yeah.
helping the environment. When we have this respect within ourselves, the systems that harm the environment, harm people, will be gone.
They will be seen as absurd.
They're already starting to be.
Yeah, right. Because that's not the way nature is designed. So many of the systems for us to just function and live, the water systems and all of that. And nature is designed of giving back. It's a cycle. It's a full cycle. And humanity keeps, the way the prior systems have been is like keeping systems contained. We know about fossil fuels and all of that, and keep taking and taking and taking. And many of us know free energy exists. It's just been suppressed. And by the way, that's some of the changes that we're going to see coming in the coming years once we make it through this core transitional time is free energy coming. We're not meant to have to pay to live, to have a life. Okay, that's enslavement. We have all been slaves to a system, all right, that's not natural, all right? In other worlds, in more advanced ET races, you don't work for a living. That's insane. That's, you do express, but it's creation, it's fun, it's projects, it's exploration that naturally assists others. You don't have to try to serve, folks. That's a misconception in spiritual circles. You do not need to do any of that, all right? You being here is serving, okay? You being here and doing your own personal process is serving massively. Being authentic is serving rather than contributing to denial and falseness. That is serving, all right? And in the higher realms and in more evolved planets, that's how we do it. It's just natural. Everything works together because everyone's living from their heart guidance, not dysfunctional conditioned mind. Okay? So you naturally find yourself at that place where that person has that need and you happen to have that thing that provides for that need. And it's just this beautiful flow. That's the way life is meant to be. We don't have to figure it out and make it work. All of that's a result of the dysfunction of this world. 5D, everything flows, and we know you manifest more quickly too. You have a thought and there it is, but your thoughts are now wholesome. They're wholeness based. They understand the effect of everything because you are in the oneness. You understand that everyone else is you. It's all one spirit animating and expressing through different variations. And so you would never afflict anything. The same with planets. The planet is you, whatever planet you're on. It's all you. So you would never take actions that would be disrespectful and taking. You ask permission. You know, I teach my grandchildren. We go on hikes and they were talking. We would see a flower, you know, and say, "Oh, the flower! I want to pick it." And I said, "Wait a minute. First, ask permission. Ask the flower if it's okay that you pick it." And so, helping to cultivate their consciousness about respect. And it was so beautiful, especially when they're younger. Now that they're older, they're a little bit, you know, they're getting more into teenage years, so they got a little bit more of an attitude. But hopefully those seeds I planted will continue. But it's like they were really with it, and they would like hold their hands around it and go, ask with your mind. And I said, wait for a yes. And a yes will feel expansive, and a no will feel like a closed door. And so, you know, they say, I heard it said yes. And I said, okay, go ahead and pick it and thank it. And that's the attitude we need to have. Humanity has dominated this world, the plant species and the animal species and the mineral species, they are alive beings, for far too long, had a domineering attitude. We're all together, we're all one. And when we live from that place of honor, we naturally respect and flow with the divine. And everything works then. There are no problems.
What a cool grandmother. You are tremendously helping them get ahead, a leg up in life on their journey. And you are an inspiration for all of us. Thank you for that. Listening to you, we could listen to you more and more because you feel rich. It feels so rich within us and true. And we're vibrating at that. So I want to thank you for that. And you are a sound channel. Would you like to give us a little experience of some sound that will help us center
Yeah.
us?
Yeah, so just a quick facilitation. I'll lead us through a brief meditation based on a lot of what I've been sharing about centering. This is a visualization you can use anytime. It works well for me. And I'm just going to tell you ahead of time, visualizing a column of light through your body, okay? And that column of light is your divine presence. And it's very centering, and it's a powerful light, okay? And it is magnetic in nature. And as you could do this anytime. You could be driving down the road and just like, oh yeah, you know, I'm feeling a little scattered. Just pull your attention back to that column of light center. And we're going to draw your energies in to that center back, you know, that you've got hurled out everywhere. I use the analogy a lot of times of fishing rod. You know, it's like we throw our reel out all the time. We worry about this, think about that. Oh, you're mad at this. Reel it back in. I tell people, reel it back in. All right, so we want to bring everything back to center. This is the place you're meant to live from. That's not this isolated, cut off self. This is actually expansive because when your attention, it's about your attention. Where's your attention? When your attention is centrally focused and you're living from that place, then you are connected with everything because that center core is in everything. Everyone and everything has that center core as well. And you're tapped in to that divine wisdom, divine compassion, divine awareness. So I'm going to guide us through a brief meditation and then channel some sound to help anchor that in, okay? All right. So everybody close your eyes, take a few deep breaths. Feel yourself relaxing into your seat. And now gently place your attention on your heart center. See that radiant golden sun there. The light of your own soul presence. The gateway to your inner wisdom and love. And now notice as you continue to breathe, a column of light that runs through your body, head to toe, head to tailbone, all the way through. This light can be any color. However it appears is fine. White or gold are good focusing colors for this particular practice. But any color is fine. Anything that resonates with you and your joy, your peace, your stability. And with every breath, notice that light, that column of light getting brighter. It lights up as your attention remains in that center place. And if you want, you can even see that column of light going out your tailbone or out your feet down into the earth, anchoring into the earth, helping to ground and center you, connecting with the heart of the earth. In that same vibrational space, that same spirit that permeates all life. And with your attention still on that column of light, gently inhale, and as you inhale with every breath, set an intention. Witness, watch, feel any pieces and parts of you, your energies that have been hurled out into other directions all around you. Worries about people, about the world, about things, your to-do lists, projects, ideas, longings, needings, wantings. Just draw them all in. Watch it happen. Don't force it. As your attention remains with that column of light. That column of light is naturally drawing them in as they find their place within the light of the being that you are. Just relax and allow it to happen naturally. These pieces and parts of you want to come back. There's nothing to make happen. And if you get distracted, just gently bring your attention back to your center, that column of light. Continue to breathe into it. And as these pieces and parts of you come back, these aspects and energies, feel the peace of that peaceful stillness, that sense that all is well. That knowing that all is well and unfolding exactly as it's meant to. Feel the power of that knowing. Feel your own divine presence and love in that space within you that's always there, always radiating. It's just a matter of putting your attention there and keeping your attention there. And if you find at any time during this meditation or throughout your day where you go off that center, get distracted, just bring your attention back, gently back. No judgment, no fear, no worries. Just gently allow it to come back and breathe into that column of light that is the real you. The more you live from this place, this presence of peace, strength, stability, love, the more this inner state will radiate and permeate throughout all of your life, all of your reality, which will then naturally adapt to these inner states. Life is never about controlling the outer world so that you can feel better. It's about feeling better now, no matter what. Feeling the goodness, the light, the beauty, the truth that's inside you. Always there, just not always apparent when your attention is elsewhere. Take a deep breath. Let it go. Continue to relax as I bring through the divine sounds and languages to support you and anchor in this knowing, this truth that you've always had in your being. Feeling the peace, feeling the love, feeling the presence of your own divine being. Shakana Batayisiki Deshinek Bidanosto Lastiana Yake Shetiana Lastayake Sosta Piasan Yeshikadani Seki Tishi Lakunasta Patistikana Yeshtete Lasikitato It is so, and so it is. Take a deep breath. Let let it go. And you can gently open your eyes.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Truly beautiful. And I just want to say the sounds that you brought forth were whale, very ancient, ET, tribal, and so much more. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
You
you.
feel sparkly.
Sparkly is good. That's what I was going for. And so much more.
We are sparkly and we are in deep gratitude to you. Thank you. So, this is a great moment now to share a special offering that you've put together for our audience to go deeper in this work. And we're really excited about it because, wow, we can sense the great facilitator that you are on our journey. What is your special offer? Tell us about that.
Well, I have the special offers that have been there a while that are really awesome. And those are live sound channeling events that I've done in the past. They're facilitations, activations, meditations, facilitations, all kind of the same thing put together that help move you into higher states of consciousness, help you release blockages, barriers to your joy, your freedom, you're living your truth, your purpose. And there's a couple of packages that are really beautiful. One's the Gateways packages, and those are of events that were channeled during, common gateways like 1111 events, 1212. Actually, that one's in the other package, the trio package, the 1212 event, 121212 it was recorded on. And that one was really cool in the trio package that ancient Mayan celestial being came through, among others, and other sounds. And so basically, you play these recordings and you just relax, close your mind, lay down, and it takes you on a journey into your being, into the cosmos of your being, I say. And it can be like a shamanic journey. Everybody has a different experience. Some people connect with their star family in these states when the tones and sounds come in. So, so the trio package, as I mentioned, it has an 1111 in it, and it has receive your angels' gifts. So that's when the angels came through that night. That was all about angels, and they sing beautiful songs during the sound channeling on that one. And also Renewal, which is one of my favorites. That's the one with the peep frogs that come in, actually recorded live peep frogs and integrated that into the experience. It was during springtime, and it helps with that sense of renewal and expansion. In the Gateways package is where I've got the 12-12-12. Actually, that's where the 12-12-12 is. And another one called Reclaim, Reveal, Reclaim, and Reunify. And so some Arcturian energies had an influx during that time period. It was recorded during a lunar eclipse. And that's just wonderful in supporting those types of energies. You can see the description on the webpage. And as far as the new special offer I have, that is my Inner Stability and Emotional Balance package, which took a bit of work to put together, and I was really excited for this event. I wrote an ebook just for this event, and it's called How to Strengthen Your Inner Stability the 5D Way. So in it contain perspectives, practices, as well as tools and techniques that like I mentioned, DFT. There's a full thing in there about that to help you cultivate those states and connect with your inner stability, particularly the perspectives. And I shared some today, but there's a lot more in the book that I didn't cover that are really, really helpful. It gets you pondering, journaling, and thinking. And it's chock full of references, so online that you can go to and get more information. I also included a channeled sound meditation, which we just experienced a mini one, and so this is one recorded studio quality. I did it for this purpose in helping strengthen your inner stability. And so that's when the Trigalian Sound Masters, that's the sound collective that I work with within the vaster collective of many millions of ET masters. The Trigalian Sound Masters are over 300 different beings, and we have a core group of around 33 that are always with me, and I'm a part of them. And so we bring through tones and take you through a process to help with that anchoring in your inner stability. You can listen to these again and again and again. Anytime where you're feeling in the moment, you're feeling wobbly, you're feeling emotionally charged, you're struggling, great one to turn on and take yourself through that process. I also have included with my collaborative partner, Geronimo Nye, who is the channel of the ET Ascended Masters. He's the vocal channel. I do some vocal channeling, but he's the one who's masterful at it. He is the most exceptional channel I have ever encountered in terms of being able to surrender and really flow through the complete being in full expression and body, emotion, and energy and presence. And so that is from a live event that let me see. Oh no, that was one we recorded. We recorded studio, and I interviewed 5 different ET Ascended Masters about their experiences when in their last incarnation before they ascended, teachings that they got from their mentors, whatever they wanted to share that helped them with inner stability and emotional balance. And those same tools and techniques and perspectives and practices also, of course, contribute to your evolution and their ascension. So they talk about that. So that's really cool. They each share somewhere between 5 to 10 minutes. And also interviewed an angel who wanted to come through and talked about, from her perspective, a joy angel, in fact, about how to maintain emotional balance and inner stability. And of course, the angels are so underworked, and she was just delighted to share about, ask for our help. We're here for you. That's what we do. So she talks a bit about that, which all of us need reminding. And then I included an MP3 of a live event where Geron was channeling one of the ET Ascended Masters about that has to do with inner peace and cultivating inner peace. So it's a meditation. We included the meditation segment, and with music, and it's live, so it's got that live quality, but we've got beautiful music to it to help you develop those experiences and cultivate that even further. So we wanted to create a nice, well-rounded package that really you can work with again and again and again to keep cultivating this and expanding into oneness. That oneness state of consciousness, 5D, remaining stable no matter what is happening in the outer world or even in your own personal processes. You can do this. You've got this. It's part of what you came here for. And we support you and celebrate you.
Thank you again for this beautiful offering. It sounds wonderful. Based on what you took us through today, we can feel the energetics of the work that you offer and help facilitate. And it feels so good and is extremely helpful and highly supportive. So again, the link for this is on this webpage, in the description box, wherever you're watching or listening to this program. And we invite you to check it out, and you can work with SomRa and the ET Ancient Ascended Masters. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. SomRa, again, I can't thank you enough. I feel elated. We are different after this conversation today, and
Beautiful.
I'm in deep gratitude for that. I feel bubbly and sparkly and full of joy, and I know others are right there with me. Thank you. Any final thoughts as we say goodbye?
Oh, folks, just, there's so much love, there's so much support in the universe for you right now. And know that, even if you're not seeing it in media, it's okay. It is happening. The transformation's happening. A lot of things are going to be happening subtly. They already have been for the past few years behind the scenes. We're going to see differences in the banking system. We're going to see changes in the governmental system. We're going to see changes in all the systems. And that's exactly what's meant to happen. And it is moving towards a brighter future. It is moving towards new earth. Even if we witness some more destructive behaviors or violence or whatever in the world, those things are shifting because awakening is happening. Hearts are opening. And it's not as much about the mind as it is about the heart. And so there may be people right next door who are very loving people who don't know anything about these spiritual concepts, but they are unconditionally loving people, and they are a part of the awakening too. So look for that. Look for the love. Look for the love. You don't need to keep looking for what's not working or what you don't want or focusing on that. Acknowledge it. Move through your feelings and then return to your center, knowing that there's a higher purpose and plan that is unfolding. And it's beautiful. You're a part of it, and all is well.
All is well. Great, great wisdom. Thank you, thank you, thank you. SomRa, Anrika.
Thank
Namaste.
you. Namaste. Thank you for this opportunity to share today.
Thank you for listening to this quantum conversation, and thank you for dancing with us to the cosmic heart. As we raise our own vibration, we raise the vibration of the planet. This show is dedicated to you and all awakening hearts, as we are here to shine our bright light and amplify our love. Access all quantum conversations, special offers from our guests, and online healing retreats by visiting acoustichealth.com. I'm Loren Gailey, and from my sacred heart to yours, I honor your magnificent love and light. We leave you now with music from the universe. Music literally created by the universe, as musical notes were assigned to mathematical equations. The result is this beautiful music, available at acoustichealth.com. Namaste.